Hello and welcome to another episode of One Fall WrestleCast Live. Sad day in the wrestling world. We have lost one Sid Udi, aka Psycho Sid, aka Sid Vicious. Tom and I are going to talk about Psycho Sid, Sid Vicious at the end of the show. We're going to kind of discuss what he means to us as wrestling fans. AEW All In London happened. It was a thing. Tony Khan threw some shots at CM Punk at the post-match presser. Mercedes Moné speaks her mind this week, and whatever else Tom and I decide to get into, should be a pretty good show, man. Really, really looking forward to it. As always, good to have Tom here, and let's just get after it.
Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
What's up, dude?
Not much. Watching Raw.
That's fun. That's fun. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do next week? I mean, are you gonna be okay? Because I newsflash for our loyal audience here that is very niche, and we appreciate the just absolute fuck out of you.
All like 50 of you.
Yeah, we genuinely do. We're just out here shooting the shit, and we're content to just do that, just Tom and I. But man, it makes it a lot of fun whenever you guys join in. So we appreciate.
We like other input. We're nice.
Yeah. But as of next week, Tom and I are moving. We're moving the show. Okay, we're packing up. The truck is packed. It's full of gas. All right, we just need to climb in, start it up, shift it into drive, and just
checked all the oil. We checked all the pressure in the tires. Good to go.
One Fall WrestleCast Live is moving to Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Is that the agreed upon time, sir?
8:30 p.m.?
Yeah, or did we say 8?
Either one's fine with me.
Okay. Whoa. Time TBD. We generally come to you 8:30 on Mondays.
Let's just say 8:30. We're going to be pressed at 8.
We're creatures of habit.
Yeah,
you know
let's say 8:30.
8:30 on next Sunday.
Yeah.
Tom and I will be coming to you live from the One Fall WrestleCast studios. And we're really looking forward to changing some things up and maybe getting out of the way of Monday Night Raw when we moved the show to Mondays. Monday Night Raw was fucking abysmal.
It really was. We didn't want to watch. We were like, let's not watch this. Oh, I'm out of fluid.
So we're in a situation now where we feel that it's for the greater good of what we're trying to accomplish here to move to Sunday nights again. And then we're going to just have the same great conversations about pro wrestling, life, and all things that encompass here at the One Fall WrestleCast. Yeah. Going to be a good time. So stay tuned for that next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. New show time and day. And if I were you, if you're not subscribed, I would go ahead and click that subscribe, because maybe we got some new stuff coming your way. We're just working through some logistics on a few things, Tom and I. Yeah. What do you think, Bub?
I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited to do it on Sundays. I always preferred Sundays.
Me too.
I even like to watch Raw when it was bad. So I'm very excited to do it Sunday, and then maybe hang out for a little bit on Mondays to do some other fun things.
to do some other fun things. I've got some things lined up on that as well, good sir, that we can discuss off air and or throughout the week. Hey man, one thing that I think the entire world agrees on, there's one thing and one thing only. Do you know what that one thing and one thing only is, sir?
I have no idea. I have no idea where this is going.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Listen, I know we talked about Joe Hendry last week. And we touched on some things as far as what Joe Hendry really means to professional wrestling in 2024. Man, it's really cool. Really cool to see him just like win over that NXT crowd and just take them in the palm of his hand and just hold on to them. That dude's a star.
Sure is. I did not think, so when his stuff started going viral on TikTok, I was like, oh, this is cool. This will get some eyes on TNA and whatnot. And, Joe Hendry's been a big, internet wrestling, like celebrity guy for a while now. And
he's the internet wrestling darling.
So, it'll be cool to see, him find that once that went viral, like, oh, maybe we'll get some eyes on TNA, which would be great because they've got a lot of good talent over there with Jordan Grace and with Moose and everything. And then,
don't we forget Nick Nemeth.
Rumble, and then, we're starting to see bits and pieces of like these tippy top TNA guys showing up in WWE and NXT particularly. And now there's this deal with TNA and NXT, and Joe Hendry himself has a specific contract with both companies where he can work some TNA shows, and he's technically an NXT superstar, meaning he can show up at the Performance Center and work out and attend classes with Shawn Michaels and all. So it's like he's kind of got this like dream contract where he can kind of both be the indie guy but also like be an NXT superstar at the same time. And I think that's really, one, I think it's great for him. Two, I think it's great for wrestling as a whole. And it's just, he makes NXT more fun to watch too. He made TNA more fun to watch as well, but like he definitely makes NXT more fun to watch. And it's been good. And this last week, that triple threat match was good.
Yeah, it was real good.
And Saturday now is the NXT Premium Live event, and
yes.
he's gonna take on Ethan Page for the title.
Interesting note about Ethan Page that I think is pertinent to the conversation that you and I are having is it's been a pretty quick ascent for Mr. Ego. So much so that from the time he made his debut until the time he won the NXT championship was exactly 40 days.
Yeah, real quick.
And I want you to understand this observation because come Saturday, it will have been exactly 40 days since Joe Hendry heard his name and he appeared
in NXT.
Because he believes in Joe Hendry.
We all believe now, Walter. We all believe now.
So I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy here, but there might be a conspiracy here.
So
you got Chef Shawn Michaels in the kitchen cooking up, well, God knows what, down there at the old NXT.
And I guess they've made some room on the main roster because Bobby Lashley's gone, MVP's gone, Ricochet's gone.
Yeah.
So there's some room now to maybe insert a Mr. Ego and see how he fits in with a lot of the rest of these guys here. Particularly, I think the young up and comers. The guys,
man, that SummerSlam next year really went out the window for you in 7 days.
It did until I was watching All In, and then I was like, shit, there's a lot of these WWE guys here, and we'll get into that. but that's kind of what made the switch flip, right? Not so much. I mean, Bobby Lashley and MVP didn't show up, but Ricochet did, and it got me thinking. I'm like, ooh, there's a lot of empty space now that used to be filled by some guys who now aren't there. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that necessarily he jumps up immediately, but I think if he loses the title, I think maybe we see him sooner rather than later. But if he doesn't lose it, then, like I said, it's going to be a while.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. I really have a hard time believing that, regardless of the situation, that WWE is going to put a title on a superstar that is not under contract in black and white dry ink with WWE.
Well, he is, but he isn't. So, yeah, I know what you mean. And it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't make sense to me either. Just like when Jordan Grace didn't win the same, but
that made sense though.
Right, it did. But then can you keep doing the same thing, right? Because it's kind of a similar, like, we bring in. Can you keep doing the same thing? And that's
kind of where I'm at with it too. And I think that if there's anybody that's in a position to be the NXT World Champion from TNA, it's Joe Hendry.
Yeah, I mean, that makes, even if it's just a short run.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So
and the additional caveat of one Trick Williams being the special guest referee. I mean, I could see this going awry for All Ego Ethan Page. That would make sense. So I feel like there's a lot to happen with Joe Hendry this coming weekend.
It makes it for intrigue. It makes it intriguing enough to want to watch. Like,
yes,
not only to be excited to watch. We talk about all the time how we can kind of predict the card. I can't really predict this, and
this is a coin toss for sure.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, well, that just makes me want to watch it more. Like what they're doing right now with the Intercontinental. I just saw it because it was just on before it flipped to commercial. The Intercontinental title, or we're having a little tournament for it to see who the next contender is going to be. And yeah, I mean, Braun Breaker just won it, but would they want to put it on Jey Uso? I don't know.
Yeet. No, man. I feel like there's a lot of compelling stories to tell inside that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
As far as getting to Braun Breaker, and I think Jey Uso is absolutely one of those stories, right? I don't know, that I really kind of have enjoyed the way that WWE has skewed a little bit and has become a little bit more suspension of disbeliefy.
A little less predictable than otherwise. Even if sometimes, like, I'm disappointed in the outcome, but it's become a little less predictable. Like when Bayley lost the title, I was like, oh, come on. Like I was kind of thinking that she would lose and then Mariah May would cash in, or she would win and then Mariah May would cash in or something. So I don't know, but
wrong promotion. You Mariah May
just not Mariah May. You're right.
Tiffany
Stratton. Yeah, but it's
you are AEW fucking
jumping
fogged up.
I'm jumping the gun already. I know
AEW fogged up.
Well, that's what they do to you. That's part of the problem, and I'll get to that when we get to that.
Part of the problem, I mean, according to some talent, that it's where the best wrestle, and then the creative process in AEW is just so much better than WWE.
Oh, we're starting there, huh? We're doing that before we do this. All right.
How the input, it really feels like it's listened to, and the opinion feels more valued.
Oh, and who said that? Whose words of wisdom were those? What seasoned veteran? None
other than friend of the show, Derek Wright's favorite human being, Miss Take My Ball and Go Home, Mercedes Moné, FKA Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, her AEW run as a whole has been awkward. That's probably the best word for it, right? Awkward. It's been weird.
Okay.
Maybe a little cringy.
I'll listen to awkward. Go ahead.
Awkward. I mean, it's it hasn't been good. We'll put it that way. I don't know if we're going to do good, bad. I think there's other descriptors. I think that awkward is probably the best way to put it. For the longest time when she first debuted, she wasn't cleared to wrestle, but they'd give her 10 minutes on a microphone every Wednesday, and she just went out there and would just like to radio silence for like weeks at a time.
Well, I mean, what do you expect, man? I mean, why do we put the microphone in the hand of people that cannot speak?
That's a great
on
question.
AEW television. Like, that'd be like handing me a microphone and trotting me out on YouTube Live and expecting somebody to be invested in things that I was saying.
I mean, I see the joke that you're trying to make here. However, it would be more like putting you in a wrestling match and not letting you talk and having you go a Broadway 60 minutes every Wednesday. Untrained.
Yeah, but we do that every Monday, though. I mean, Hey, absolutely. R.I.P. Sid. Stick around. We're going to get to Sid and what he meant for the wrestling business at the end of the show. Right now, though, we are talking about the just ridiculously comical remarks by one Mercedes Moné about the AEW creative process. And I'm trying to get Tom really fired up, and it's
so
just
the
not.
answer to the reason why she said that is obviously like she has bad booking opinions, and Tony Khan listens to them. Her comments lead me to believe that everything that she has already done in AEW, which most of it has not been very good, especially from the initial, certainly the matches, has been mostly her ideas. And quite frankly, her ideas have stunk. However, give credit where credit's due. I did like the pairing with Camille when they got Camille in there. I did like that. I do like pairing her with Britt Baker. I think that put more intrigue on her. I think that upped it a little more. And I did appreciate Britt Baker coming back. However, it was not the dream scenario in which I think we wished it or hoped it would be. They did not go out there and tear the house down. They did not go out there and really do. And it was they had an awkward match. It was, unfortunately for them, it was kind of like later in the card after like some great stuff had happened. I just don't think that Mercedes Moné is, and Sasha Banks in that regard is the talent that she believes that she is. I think looking back on it now and knowing what we know now, she a 4-horsewoman of women's wrestling? Yes. But it's pretty obvious that she was number 4.
Ooh, what? No.
It's pretty obvious that she was number 4, and it wasn't close.
Are you saying that in hindsight?
In hindsight,
knowing what we know now,
in hindsight, yes.
At the time, she was numero uno, and I would say Becky was number 4.
Who was
Becky?
Yeah,
there
was. However, I think that we've all sort of learned where Mercedes Moné's up as her top level was. I think we've seen that, and it wasn't great, right? I think there have been plenty of non-horsewomen who have passed her. Like Alexa Bliss is a better has.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Little Miss Bliss had a better legacy than Mercedes. Same thing with whom else at this point? I mean, at this point, it's potential that Nia Jax could have a better legacy. So I don't know. I think that maybe we were early to judge. I don't think we had the full body of work to sort of think about. And at this point, I think that we've seen the top. I think we've seen where Mercedes Moné peaks, and I don't think it's nearly as high. The top of her mountain is not nearly as high as the top of many other mountains, whether horsewoman or not.
Oof.
I know it's
Ooh.
rough. It's rough. So can we talk not now to awkwardly say? Can we kind of run through All In?
Yeah, bub.
Because I think that this is a good segue into doing this. So speaking of AEW, all right. So we're gonna start out. So there was a pre-show on YouTube, which I didn't watch until I picked through it today. I just left it on at work while I was doing some boring stuff with a spreadsheet. And I'm very glad I didn't watch the pre-show, because had I watched the pre-show, it would have made me not want to watch the main card, because the pre-show was just unbelievably terrible, and it was matches that were packed with people just to get them on this card. So the first match is a 16-man tag match. 16. During the middle of it, Tony Schiavone says, I don't know that I've ever seen a 16-man tag match. And then you watch this match and you realize exactly why you've never seen it, because it is a mess. That's the only way to describe. I'm not sure what happened. There was 2 teams of random dudes. I can't even say they were dudes who were like heels versus baby faces or whatever. I think the grizzled young veterans were there somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe they were in there somewhere. I don't know. I thought I saw one. Action Andretti was there. Rocky Romero. Leo Rush was in there for a hot second with Satnam
I thought he
Singh.
retired. Did he unretire?
He retired
again?
like 3 different times, and he still shows up. But he was there. He apparently works for
Do you
AEW.
remember when he was good in WWE with Bobby Lashley?
I loved him in WWE with Bobby Lashley. Loved him. That was I don't understand why all of Bobby Lashley's like best stuff like just shoots off like a rocket and then is immediately like canceled. Like they have like 4 good segments and they're like, all right, we're done with this. But anyway, first match is the 16-man tag match. I'll read off the participants. It's Private Party, Dark Order, Jay Lethal, Arya Daivari, Satnam Singh, and Anthony Ogogo versus the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, Kip Sabian, Rocky Romero, Top Flight, Action Andretti, and Leo Rush. So no, that's not a grizzled young veteran. They were on Wednesday though. So this match was garbage. Billington, Sabian, Nick Saban, Romero, Top Flight, Andretti, and Rush, they won. So I guess they were the babyface team, sort of. They won because they beat Dark Order and Jay Lethal and Arya Daivari and Anthony Ogogo. Remember when Anthony Ogogo was a big deal and like he got to fight Cody Rhodes for like 20 minutes? And
Didn't
now
Cody put him over?
Huh?
Didn't Cody put him over?
He might have. I mean, he's got a stupid name. But this match was terrible. It was real bad. Just from start to finish. It really never got off the ground. I don't know how it could. Everybody just kind of got their thing in.
No AEW pay-per-view buy-in or 0 hour or whatever they're calling it this week that I've watched has made me want to buy the pay-per-view.
Well, the next match doesn't do it either. Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. However, it is a mixed tag match because we also get Stokely Hathaway and Tomohiro Ishii. So Ishii, who is basically immobile. However, Stokely Hathaway did manage to get him up for a good spine buster. That was pretty much the only things that they did. Otherwise, it was Statlander versus Willow, and and quite frankly, I don't know. Willow won, but still, it was a bad match. It wouldn't have made anybody buy the pay-per-view. And this is sort of a precursor because Willow Nightingale's going to fight Statlander on Wednesday. And this match sucked, and the match on Wednesday is going to suck. And
do you remember when Chris Statlander was must-see AEW TV?
When she stopped booping people, but like before she blew her knees out the second time.
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember. And it was something. But she's been in this program with Willow Nightingale. They basically get one segment a month, and they have for more or less the last 6 months. And this was some sort of a like precursor to it, and it was about as weak as you could imagine. Like this was a mess. It was weak. It didn't make sense as to why it was a mixed tag match. It felt thrown together. I understand why it was on the pre-show, but again, garbage. So whole pre-show, whole YouTube, not worthwhile, not worth watching, not worth anybody's time. I feel bad for the people in the arena because at this point they have been watching wrestling for almost an hour. Now, is this where, or is it the next? Yeah, no. Okay. So then we get to another tag team match. This time it is a 10-man tag team match. So we've seen a 16-man tag match. We've seen a mixed tag match, and now we're watching a 10-man tag match. So if you're keeping track now, there have been 16 and 4. So we're now, there have been 30 people in 3 matches. 30 people, 3 matches. All right. So we are now Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, who are the
Ring of Honor Tag Team
Ring of Honor
Champions.
Tag Champs. But Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, Shibata, who I hate.
I mean, you hate anybody from Japan because you're
Ross and Marshall. No, that's not true. Ross and Marshall Von Erich, who are pretty good.
Yes,
Matt,
they are.
and they're fighting both Cage of Agony and Undisputed Kingdom. So Undisputed Kingdom does still exist. So Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Toa Lanoa, who I'm shocked that hasn't been called up for the Bloodline Civil War yet. Bishop Khan and Brian Cage. Man, remember when Brian Cage was like, maybe he'll go to WWE and do something cool. Nah, he's in 10-man matches.
Yeah, he was like, nah, I'm gonna sign an extension here.
Yeah, no, he's
even though they didn't use me for 18 months.
Well, hey, look, at least they're putting him in 10-man matches now.
Yeah, on the pre-show.
On the pre-show, yeah. I can't remember if this was the pre-show. Yeah, this was still the pre-show. So this match was less of a mess than the first match, but there's also 6 less people in it, so that's why.
You had to go all the way across the pond, bruv.
So this was this match was also garbage, though. Rhodes, Guevara, the Von Erichs, and Shibata beat the heels.
Look, your buddy got a W.
Yeah, I got a W. He doesn't get to wrestle, but who was my buddy?
Shibata.
Sammy? Oh yeah, Shibata is my buddy. Right, I forgot he was on that team. He still sucks. And Cage of Agony and Undisputed Kingdom absolutely got shafted here because they're the more interesting group instead of like the Von Erichs, who only get to wrestle on AEW because of the movie. And
they're good.
I mean, they're fine, but they're in a 10-man tag match.
Okay.
Are they good enough for anything else?
I mean, they're young.
Okay.
They're young in the business.
Sure. They probably need more training. But they put the heels under. So whatever, Adam Cole's group of chooches is a non-starter. Adam Cole's dead or something somewhere, playing video games on YouTube probably, which is probably a lot better than whatever Tony Khan pitched to him. They came
Mercedes
Cage and Guevara.
Assessment, sir.
What?
Mercedes would disagree with that assessment, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it was garbage. Then we get to finally something on the pre-show that was kind of cool. So Jamie Hayter comes back. However, they catch up with her in the back. Now, if we remember Jamie Hayter, the last we saw her bangs were blonde and the rest of her hair was black. Totally different hair again. So initially you're like, who is that? Is that Jamie? That's
you
Jamie?
In this woman's hair.
Leave her be. She looks different almost every time she's on television.
Leave her be.
And we're not sure what the injury was, but she had an injury that was so severe that she was out for a year. I don't know what that was. I very much believe that she was injured. But anyway, so what happens is they catch up with Jamie Hayter in the back, and then Saraya wanders out to the ring in wrestling gear, upset that she's not on the card. So she's out there, blah, blah, blah. Jamie Hayter's music hits. Jamie Hayter comes out. Boom, 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 boom. Throws off her thing, kicks some security guards down, goes in. Saraya ducks out. One of her flunkies gets the big boot. Jamie Hayter yells at Saraya. If you remember, Saraya was causing Jamie Hayter a lot of guff over a year ago before she got hurt and was out, before she lost to Toni Storm in Toni Storm's second run. So there was a lot of back and forth there. So I guess they're rekindling this rivalry. It was cool. It's cool to see Jamie Hayter back. The reason I said that I very much believe that she was injured is, remember how yoked she was before she got hurt? She was much less yoked looking. Not that she looked bad or anything, but she looked definitely smaller. And I don't know if that was on purpose or just the fact that she was injured. She couldn't maintain a yokedness. So I hope she's well now, ready to go, because I do like Jamie Hayter. And but like I said, she did look significantly.
I mean, maybe she's Y2J here to save us for the second coming.
Maybe. I mean, that'd be good. I mean, to be fair, she is a pretty good. She is one of the better women's wrestlers in AEW. So getting some of their better talent back is much better than, like, say, Riho coming back. Why do you hate Riho? I don't know. I just do. Anyway, so Jamie Hayter kicked everybody's butts, and then that was fun. It was nice to see Jamie Hayter back. And they did kind of replay that as the show opened to say, just so you see, Jamie Hayter's back and blah, blah, blah. Played a quick clip of it. Anyway, then we jump right into the first match of the main card, which is the London ladder match for the AEW World Trios Championship. In this match, we have the
ladder match. Is Vince McMahon booking this shit with this enunciation?
What, the London ladder match? He might have.
Yeah.
Been. Is that, are you saying, or at least maybe it's Shane?
I mean, maybe Shane's just a vehicle for Vince to get into Tony Khan's back pocket.
Maybe. Hey, Vince loves to take people's money.
Maybe Vince is ghostwriting.
He could be. Although I don't think he would have called.
Give me some of that cocaine.
Thanks, pal. Although
I'll write you a fucking television show. It'll be good shit.
Although I don't think that Vince would have booked this finish. So we got Christian Cage and the Patriarchy, which is Nick Wayne and Killswitch, not Luchasaurus, Killswitch, versus the Bang Bang Gang, which love them boys, versus the House of Black, love them boys, versus Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. That I must have missed a couple segments or something. No idea why the three of them are together. They really put over the fact that Pac missed All In last year. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But he missed it last year. Apparently that was a big deal. Anyway, after another giant mess of a match, because there's too many men in this match, Claudio, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta win. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. They seem like the least cohesive trio of the bunch here, and I can't imagine House of Black is sticking around at this point. Like, I can't. They're literally fodder. They're literally trios fodder at this point. I can't imagine they're sticking
enhancement
around.
talent.
I mean, I don't even know who they're enhancing. Because it's a mess. Same thing with the Bang Bang Gang. These guys are endlessly entertaining. I don't understand why they're also have been relegated to enhancement talent.
Is Juice Robinson back yet?
What?
Is Juice Robinson back yet?
Juice Robinson is back, but now Switchblade Jay White's hurt. So I can't imagine.
There's no.
Juice Robinson's the most interesting one of the whole.
I know, but I think that him and Jay White play off of each other very well.
They do, but they play. Juice Robinson is great with the Gun Boys. I just think that this whole thing was like one of those things where it's like, oh, obviously they're going to give it to the Golden Boys, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Pac, but that makes no fucking sense.
No, how the fuck does Pac fit into that?
He doesn't.
Is he in the Blackpool Combat Club all of a sudden?
Well, the Lucha Brothers are going to leave, so they have to.
No, well, not maybe not, because word on the street is that they're going to extend them because of injury time.
Right. Well, but I'm just saying,
Ray Fenix at least.
I'm just saying that, like, the Lucha Brothers do not plan on re-signing once whatever prison sentence they're under is over. So they stick
What
pack
do you
with.
think the Lucha Bros in WWE looks like?
Do you think?
'Cause, I mean, you've
they-
come in here. Listen, and let
Okay.
me preface this. You've come in here and been critical on the Lucha Bros, time and time again.
You're right.
What does that look like? What does their run in WWE look like?
Honestly, if I'm being honest, one of two things happens. I think they put him with the LWL.
No.
And I think Joaquin Wilde and what's the other guy? I think the original Legado del Fantasma guys are gone. I think they get the ill. I think it's either that or they just come in, they throw them
That
on
sounds
Smack.
dreadful.
It does sound dreadful. Or they just throw them on Friday nights as another tag team.
I could get behind that.
I think it's one or the other. They're either on Raw as one of the Latino groups, or they're just a tag team on SmackDown yeah. That's probably what it's going to be. Is they're going to be a tag team on SmackDown because there's enough Latino presence on Monday, and I don't think there's much of any on Friday anymore. So they'll probably just stick them on Friday because they have no real affiliation with any of the other guys on Monday because there's just such a disconnect there.
Seto, Meadow.
So yeah, this match was the ending was dumb. This was a pretty standard AEW match. Lots of high spots, lots of people getting their shit in. It was what it was. Mother Wayne tried to climb the ladder. That was fun for a second. That's all we got. That's all we got there. All right, so now we're getting into part of where the card gets good. So it was garbage up to this point, right? Like, so we're talking about like if you watch the pre-show and then watch the card up to this point, you're like, how many more motherfuckers are they going to stick in this ring? Because if there's another 10-man tag match or something to that effect, I'm calling and getting my money back. But no, thankfully, we get the AEW Women's World Championship, Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May, which I've been putting over for weeks. This is the best told story in AEW, period. I don't know who booked it. I don't know who wrote it, but whoever did.
Are you going to need these by the end of the time talking about Toni Storm? You going to need these?
I mean, I might.
Okay, well, I'll just set them right here.
Please do. So I thought this match was good. Not only was it good wrestling, it was good drama. Toni was going to hit her with the shoe, but her love for Mariah May made her hesitate and stop, and she didn't hit her with the shoe in very dramatic fashion. Very dramatically. It was great. I mean, it was... Anyway.
Is this when they were both covered in blood?
Yes. Yeah, and that's what led Mariah to win.
You condone that?
For this, I'm gonna, because it's gone on. They've earned it. This time, they've earned it. Okay. So Mariah May beats Toni Storm to win the title. I thought it was great. Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you.
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed this match. I think the slip into madness that they've been having Mariah May do, Toni Storm already crazy. I think that all of it looks great.
You can't do that.
What?
What are you doing? Are you nuts?
I can't call her crazy?
You can't call a female crazy, bro.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What are you doing?
That's what they're doing. They're saying, that's not me. Tony Schiavone. Blame Tony Schiavone.
What are you doing?
All right, blame Tony Schiavone. She's crazy, guys.
You can't do that.
Okay, you tell Tony. I'm just parroting him. Anyway, for my money, this might have been the best match on the card. It was certainly the one I was the most invested in. However, after that is the match I was maybe the least invested in. The FTW Championship match, Hook versus Chris Jericho.
Hi, guys.
I feel like I've been watching the same thing for 6 months out of this shit. Except this time, Hook came out. His eye was allegedly injured, but wait, it was a ruse. He could see just fine. Allegedly. Really bad match. At one point, Chris Jericho poured out what I thought at the time were billiard balls, but apparently they were croquet balls. And then Hook reversed and apparently slammed Jericho onto the croquet balls. However, they all rolled away. Like he dumped this bag out and literally all of the balls went and we're out of the ring. They were gone.
Well, I know that whenever my balls get out of the bag, they go all over the place.
They were
I
gone.
mean, maybe that's just my old age setting in.
I think so. I think, just try not to let him hit your knee. That hurts. But Hook slammed him and Jericho sold it as though he was slammed onto some balls. However, he was not. Hook ends up defeating Jericho with the help of Taz choking out some of Jericho's cronies. And I've never thought even when Taz had it back in the 90s, I've never thought that the FTW championship was worth a damn because it always looked fake to me.
Somebody like during like London press asked Jericho about the FTW championship being a joke. Maybe it was Tony Khan. They asked Tony Khan, and like it was Tony Khan. It was at the post match presser. Like he was offended.
I mean, it looks like it's made out of plastic, and it always has.
I mean, maybe it is.
It might be. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it. Like it always looked to me like a cheaper. Like, how like the hardcore title looked terrible?
Well, it was supposed to.
Right, because it was supposed to. The FTW title looked to me as though it was like the cheapest title belt you could get at Walmart, and it was like paint by numbers. It always looked so terrible to me. And it's the same belt, which, good on them for continuity, bad on them for having people defend it. Like, what the hell? So now Hook is a 3-time FTW champion. Does that mean anything to anybody? No, it means nothing to anyone.
I mean, it means something to Hook.
It might mean something to Hook and Taz, but like to anybody outside of their family, that father-son duo.
What about the ECW originals? I bet you Bully Ray's over the moon. I bet you're going to talk all about it on Monday on Busted Open Radio.
Be like, Taz, my balls. I know. Still one of my favorite Bubba Ray clips. Taz, my balls.
Man, that's some good whiskey.
I know, right? So good. Anyway, so this was honestly the worst match of the main card, and it's not particularly close. The next one, surprise, surprise. This next match has 6 dudes in it. So we're still getting matches with lots of dudes, but it is a 3-way dance.
Well, I mean, it is pro wrestling, pal. There's lots of dudes.
There's lots of dudes. Anyway, so this is a 3-way dance for the AEW World Tag Team Championship between FTR, the Young Bucks, who are the champions, and the Acclaimed. Okay.
This match had every bit of a chance to be the absolute show stealer.
And it was fine. It was just fine. I think
that we can both agree anytime you get the Young Bucks and FTR together collaborating and like, you are uber critical of the Young Bucks and what they bring to the table, but like the
styles mesh well.
Yes.
That's the way to put it, is the styles mesh well. However, throwing the Acclaimed in there, I think made it less than.
And the Acclaimed had great matches with both of those teams leading up to this 3-way dance.
I think at this point it's a numbers issue. Obviously, the Bucks have to get their shit in. The Acclaimed are sort of the same way, which in a match where there's 6 guys in it, generally everybody was getting their shit in on FTR. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was a mess. It was competent. It never really seemed to have any cohesion. I think Bleacher Report gave it a B. That's about what I'd give it. It was okay. The Bucks came out to like a Sgt. Pepper type of theme. Nobody cared. I don't know that I'm into Max Caster's raps anymore. I feel like that may have run its course. It may be time to move on from that. I don't know. They all kind of shared some moves together because there were more guys to do like Shatter Machines and that elite thing where they kind of all whoo, and give him the knee or whatever. But it was mediocre at best. Would have been a great main event for Dynamite. Kind of a piss break match in this show, which is already running long at this point.
Already running long. We're only on the 4th match, bro.
Bro, we are on that was the 9th match. Well, if we count the Jamie Hayter thing, that was the 9th one. I have a list.
No, it wasn't. You
was.
Can't include the pre-show in that number of
all
matches.
Right, so fine, we're on the 4th. That was the 4th one post the pre-show. So all right. Anyway, 4th match. And I didn't watch the pre-show when I watched.
Listen to you now.
So I didn't watch the pre-show going into this. So you're right. It was the 4th match that I watched. But at this point, I'm already kind of like going, oh God, all right. I've seen too many dudes. Okay, already. Had I watched the pre-show, I probably wouldn't have made it this far. And sadly enough, after this is the Casino Gauntlet match. So I've got to
listen. Good things happened in the Casino Gauntlet match.
Some a little bit, and then a lot of not good things. So here's the order of the entry, right? Orange Cassidy comes out first, huge pop to the crowd. Okada comes out, okay. Nigel McGuinness comes out, which everybody blew up for. Great, blew the roof off the place. So nice to see Nigel in a match. I don't know that I've ever seen Nigel in a match. I didn't know Nigel could still go. Nigel can go.
Yeah, he was just on Chris Van Vliet not that long ago talking about it, and part of me really felt like he might have made an appearance on this show in some way, shape, or form, just because of the things that he was saying. And he'd been taking bumps, and he was talking about his bump card. You know what I'm talking about? What all the wily veterans talk about, and
I vaguely remember talking about that. But yeah. He could still go. Imagine that. So anyway, so Nigel, Kyle O'Reilly, who is just a jobber at this point, I think. Are we jobber O'Reilly?
I'd say yes.
Not Baba O'Reilly. He's jobber O'Reilly.
O'Reilly. Jobbing parts.
Ow! Zack Sabre Jr.
I need some work.
Zack Sabre Jr., who we've not seen in since losing to Daniel Bryanson. You
did that thing that I always do.
And
I know.
I thought about
me, or if you,
I did. I thought about it before I did it because I was going to call him Bryan Danielson, and then I was like, we're going to call him Daniel Bryanson. So Zack Sabre Jr.
It's like Twix, man. It just makes sense.
Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, who is also now just regulated to these big match jobber statuses. Hangman Page, man, how the mighty have fallen. Jeff Jarrett, who is pushing 70 but looks 30. This is the debut of Ricochet, so nice to see that Ricochet gets thrown into a big gauntlet match in his AEW debut. Christian Cage for the second time, and Kill Switch for the second time. Are
we just going to gloss over Ricochet? Is that what we're going to do here? We're just.
I mean, that's the match glossed over Ricochet. What do you? I don't know. Like he did.
I mean, he had a big pop. He had a big. He had a big Diesel spot. I mean. That's it. That's his AEW career in a nutshell. It's going to be that. I mean, it's going to be that.
All he did was he gets into the match. He gets a little Ricochet flurry right off the bat.
I know. I saw that.
And then that's it. Christian
But that's going to be his entire AEW run. Is that moment right there? That's it. That's it. Yeah. I cannot believe. Part of me had really hoped.
I'm glad. Let's talk about this a little bit because I'm.
I really wanted him to stay, and I really wanted this whole writing him off a television thing to just be a giant fuck you to us as fans that are like, oh, well, Ricochet's going to AEW. It's just, look, they wrote him off a television for fuck's sake. But no.
Nope, he's there now.
We don't get. He's at fucking AEW. Good for him because clearly, I've got to say from a clearly wrestling standpoint, from the standpoint of an exciting match. Him and Will Ospreay are gonna fucking put on a banger.
Yes, they are.
And I'm gonna watch it like the mark that I am, and I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. But then I'm gonna come in here on Sunday night, and I'm gonna say, "Oh, it was a great fucking match," but what did it mean? Because that's what AEW is.
Because he's
And-
going to lose to Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
Also, like he's not going to win that match. That's going to be a great match, but Will Ospreay's going to win.
It's just hard for me to get excited about somebody that had so much upside in WWE that never really got to realize his full potential, who was in a position to be written off of television instead of just going away like he did after he was got his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar at fucking Blood Money 3, and then just disappeared for a year and a half, and then really worked his way back into television and putting on a bunch of fucking just bangers. And now he shows up at AEW and he's going to have a great match with Will Ospreay. I'm sure he'll have a great match with Zack Sabre Jr. I'm sure he'll have a great match with Ray Fenix. You name it, he's going to have great matches.
They're going to force Ray to stick around just so that he and Ricochet have to have a match.
I mean, I feel like there's plenty of great Ricochet matches.
Sure are. I don't think he's going to win most of them.
That's my fear too.
He's not. I mean, he's going to have a great match with Swerve for no title.
I feel like he bet on himself, and like the dealer's showing an ace up.
Who? Ricochet?
Yeah, like he bet on himself, and the dealer fucking got an ace up. Like,
yeah, I don't. It's not looking great, and I think the dealer's going to throw a
disappointing is what it
10.
is.
Yeah,
it's disappointing is what it is.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't sign that long of a contract. But anyway, Christian Cage wins, so he's got a guaranteed title opportunity, which is cool. The internet was a little upset that Luchasaurus didn't turn on Christian Cage, but I think that's probably going to happen in the title match. So we'll see that when that happens. But this match was a mess too. I mean, the only big spot was like, oh god, there's Ricochet, and then he didn't even win. So like it's already started. It's already started.
Exactly.
The next match also phenomenal. It's Will Ospreay versus MJF number 2. For the now United States, United States.
It's the American
Championship. Right. Now the American Championship. So this was a great match. It wasn't as long as their first one, which I think was probably a good idea.
I mean, it goes back to being the international championship, right? Like,
yes. So yeah.
Okay.
Spoiler. Great match. Will Ospreay wins. It's the international championship again, and that it is what it is. This is hopefully over. An unknown attacker showed up. Surprise, surprise! It was Danny Garcia, the least interesting man. They're going to try one more time to get Danny Garcia over, and they're going to.
Because WWE apparently has interest.
Oh God, I don't know why.
I mean, maybe they see something that you don't.
I doubt it, but okay. Like, hey, I'd love to be proven wrong. I think I'm going to be proven right, though. I don't think that Danny Garcia or Wheeler Yuta are going to be anybody special ever.
Well, Wheeler Yuta cuts his own hair. I heard that. Somebody told me that once.
He definitely did this week. He cut his own hair.
Yeah, somebody told me that once. Yeah. Hey, I've got to ask though. I've really got to ask this question. Like this time last month, the way that things were trending with Will Ospreay specifically, we both kind of felt like it was going to be Okada versus Ospreay for the World Championship. At All In London, and now it turns out that MJF was the vehicle for a transition between Okada and Will Ospreay. Interesting to see if Okada is going to come back looking for revenge on his championship or whatever, and if they feud them over the international championship. I think that continues to elevate that title a little bit.
It does, and I think that, truthfully, I think the elevation of it really hurts Swerve's world title reign, if I'm being honest, because
I agree.
it got all the time, it got all the prestige, it got all the superstars. And Swerve would go out there. It was like Swerve's the guy that could turn chicken shit into chicken salad, but like you got to turn that chicken shit chicken salad. Like that chicken shit chicken salad is like the main event of the show that like opened up with a perfectly seared fillet, you know? Like they're out there eating steak and they're like, "Oh, for your last course, here's a messy chicken salad, you asshole." And it's like that really like didn't give Swerve the I felt like he worked too hard. That build to him winning the title was too good for him, his title reign to just sort of be brushed under the rug as though it was like, all right, you're our first black champ.
I mean, it was in the middle of the show, bro. Like,
I mean, this was.
No, but like I'm saying the AEW World Championship was in the middle of the show week to week.
I mean, routine. Sometimes it'd get the main event spot, but even then, when it would get the main event spot, it would be after, like MJF would open the show.
Bro,
right?
can I ask you a question? What the hell happened on Wednesday? Did I just get a bad recording on my DVR, or did Swerve like mistime the end of that show that he just got cut off mid sentence, and I never saw Bryan Danielson?
No, it went. So if you recorded it, it must have cut off because it ran over. And it has been running over, but for whatever reason, it's not recording on. And this is like a huge problem, actually, for Dynamite, particularly, is that it runs over every week and nobody sees the last 5 minutes or whatever.
Okay, so it's just so the TBS or TNT hasn't learned to navigate the overrun as far as the DVR like WWE does. Because I mean, WWE overruns it all the time too,
and it never cuts off like this. But no, you're right. This cuts off constantly. Because yes, we did see Bryan Danielson at the end here, and it ended up being the well, we'll get there in a minute, but that's where the stipulation came in. It was a very long promo. It was fine, but it set it up finally for something. And
The Rock has come. Oh, sorry, wrong show.
Right. So anyway. Great match, Ospreay versus MJ. I hope there isn't a 3, though. If I'm being honest, I hope there's not a 3. 2.
I'm sure there will be at some point in time, probably for the world title.
Next year. Next year's fine. Next year for the world title, let's go with that. We don't need to see a 3 right now. So good stuff all around. Daniel Garcia coming out to kind of spoil the moment. Certainly means that hopefully, anyway, that MJF is going to be in a program with Daniel Garcia and not fighting with Will Ospreay anymore. So we'll see where that goes. However, unfortunately, after this match, which did get some time, we get the piss break match, which is the TBS Championship, Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné.
Oh my God.
This match was
what a fucking train wreck this thing was.
This match was about as awkward as it could be. There was a lot of weird stutter steps. I know I say stutter step a lot.
We're the best wrestle, bub.
In the stutters. Lots of those. Britt clearly had some rust that has not yet been knocked off. Mercedes.
Rust. She had barnacles growing on her, bro.
Yeah, okay. All right. You're being meaner than I was. I don't know if Britt, was Britt sick? She had like a mini stroke or something. Like she looks frail. In certain ways, she looks frail, and that's not.
She looked great, Bob.
I thought she looked a little frail, but then I mean, against Mercedes always also kind of looks a little frail, but that's just how we've always seen it. Like she always looked the same. So, but yeah, I was going to go with frail for Britt, but that was unfortunately for them, they had to follow that MJF versus Will Ospreay match. It was 2 of the best guys working in their prime right now.
Listen, as somebody that loves and respects Britt Baker,
what a shit
what she does for women's wrestling. Okay, she single-handedly was the reason why I tuned into AEW a lot.
Oh yeah.
Before
she was fantastic. Every time we saw her in Pittsburgh, fantastic.
I just she didn't look good. Nothing about this looked good. Nobody won coming out of this match.
No.
And like, I'm just really disappointed in how this theoretically should have been the greatest women's match in AEW history, because these are their two top stars.
Right.
And they went out there and they laid down a stinker.
They did. It was this felt to me like, remember we were watching Uso versus Uso?
I still think Uso versus Uso was a worse match than this.
I mean, it was definitely a worse match, but it was like one of those things where it was like we had kind of anticipated a little more, and then it came out and it just
didn't live up to our own expectations of
not
what
even
we
close.
thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
Okay,
and this I
okay,
maybe didn't have as high of expectations.
You
but it
know,
was
I really wanted this match to be fucking phenomenal.
right. I wanted it to break my expectations. I wanted to be like, all right, prove me wrong that, this is where the best wrestle, and Mercedes is one of the best still, because Sasha versus Bayley in my head is still one of the greatest women's matches I've ever seen in my life.
I'd watch it today.
Yeah, for sure. And it's way better than this match was. And this disappointed, and that's really the only way to put it. I think Bleacher Report gave it a B-. I think that was generous.
I'd say that's generous.
I would have maybe given it a D+.
I did what I tend to do when it comes to AEW pay-per-views, and I watched what I wanted to watch, right? Like, I watched Toni Storm and Mariah May. I watched Britt Baker and Mercedes. I watched MJF and Ospreay, and I watched Bryan Danielson versus Swerve. Those were really the only four that I watched, or paid attention to. And, man...
Well, I fell on the sword for us, for our show.
I appreciate that.
Fell on the sword. So next match was surprisingly good. However, I have a problem. So the next match is the coffin match for the TBS Championship. Darby Allin versus Jack Perry. Darby Allin matches are always brutal, kind of gross.
Did you just say that it was good?
I don't remember what I said, but it was... I have a problem. So here, let me get into why I have a problem.
All right.
So a coffin.
The prosecution rests.
Okay. So a coffin match, right? Brutal match. However, at this point, we have already seen blood 4-ish times, including Chris Jericho versus Hook, who didn't need blood for what was really a bad match. But they really, especially with Jericho pouring out the balls out of a bag, they really sort of stole a lot of the thunder from this match, because they stole some spots, and instead of pouring out what were they? Croquet balls. Instead of pouring out croquet balls, Jack Perry pours out broken glass.
Real glass?
I guess it must have been real glass. No, it was
real glass.
Yeah, but that's obviously
irresponsible and unsafe. What if somebody in the front row gets a piece of glass in their eye?
Anyway, he poured out some glass, and I thought that was a great callback. And obviously,
April, do you see this bullshit? I told that man that was not safe.
But anyway, Chris Jericho basically stole all the thunder spots from this match in his own match. Darby seemed a little reserved. This match didn't quite live up to what I sort of hoped it would live up to. Sting came back for this match. He showed back up to save Darby from death. It didn't matter because he saved Darby after he lost. So Darby loses. Jack Perry looks really strong. Then the Young Bucks appeared, and I guess they were going to light the coffin with Darby Allin in it on fire. So the Young Bucks came out to murder Darby Allin. There was going to be a murder. Sting stopped the murder. So thankfully, Sting showed up to subvert the murder that was about to happen.
I love that it's murder on AEW television, but when The Undertaker and Kane did it,
It was murder then too. JR called
it
it
was
murder.
cinema.
No, it was still murder because JR called it murder. He also called it murder when remember when it was Paul. Remember when Paul Bearer was in the box with the cement,
with the concrete.
Yeah, with the concrete, and Undertaker won to save him, but still poured the concrete on him anyway. This was not that, but it was something. Anyway, so this was kind of all over the place. I'm glad Sting saved Darby from being murdered. It was what it was. Again, like I said, it was Chris Jericho stole so many of these spots already. I don't know if Jericho had it, like saw the notes and was like, "Oh, we're gonna do all this stuff," and like that in my head. That's
You
what
just made the list.
Exactly. That's what I'm seeing in this list is like Chris Jericho was a dick before and stole all these spots. But did it stupid, right? Like just did it stupid. This was a better match than that match, but at that point in time, like, you know, they had sort of stolen all of everybody's thunder.
Get my attorney on the phone. I do believe this is in violation of the NDA.
Finally, then we get to title versus career AEW championship, Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland.
How unbelievable that Jungle Boy would use real glass.
April, send Jack some band-aids so that he may place them over the eyes of those in the front row.
All right, I'm done.
All right. So now we're at the main event. Swerve versus Danielson. Great match.
Whose house?
Swerve's house, but it wasn't Swerve's house. Great match overall. I enjoyed the build up. At least I enjoyed it on Wednesday. You didn't get to though because TNT fucked you over.
Yes.
But great match.
Damn it, Bobby.
Lots of good. This really was great. I really think though, like I have a problem with Bryan Danielson winning, right? Like one,
because he retired in the fucking post-match presser.
More or less.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I'm out of here, dog. I could do this, you know. Boo, yes. I'm sorry. That's trademark infringement. Yeah.
Woo. We own that, right? Yeah, woo. Cut Swerve short. Swerve was already getting the short end of the stick, and they just cut his title reign off before they let him get any kind of traction. Bryan Danielson clearly doesn't need the title, nor does he want it, really. They just were like, we better put it on him at some point so we can write it down in the history book that he was our champion at one point. Before he retires at whatever.
4 days and 33 minutes.
Till he gets itchy. I love the match, but I hate everything it represents.
Yeah. That's 100% Tony Khan being a mark for himself.
Yeah, like I love the match, but I hate everything it represents.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's gonna be like one of those middling Jon Moxley runs in one of his 5 title runs. It's gonna be like one of those middling runs where he has.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of 1992 SummerSlam Intercontinental Championship main event. British Bulldog versus Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. Davey Boy gets the win and like has an okay title run. And Bret Hart goes on to be one of the greatest champions in the history of WWF.
Mm-hmm.
They fumbled with Davey Boy in 92, and I'm fairly certain they just fumbled the fuck out of Swerve Strickland.
That makes sense.
It's hard for me to sit here and understand why we took the title off of Swerve, like you said, when he's not really been given the opportunity to grow. I mean, even Damian Priest was given the opportunity to grow in front of us on
That's a good
WWE
analogy to
television.
make, actually, because he was. He should have been given more time and more opportunity, and he wasn't. It was like
He was buried in the middle of the show.
and they put it on
And-
him because he got hot in
Yeah.
the pursuit, and then they had nowhere to go with him, and
Didn't know what to do with it. And I think that to me is the most disappointing part of it. And that's why I agree with your very, very accurate assessment that I like the match. I just hate everything that it stood for.
Yeah.
And man, I really hope that this doesn't kill Swerve.
Yeah, because at this point, like, does it just throw him back into does he become Hangman? Does he become, maybe he and Ricochet have a banger, at some point here, but like that'll be Ricochet on his way up and Swerve.
Is there a match out there from Lucha Underground? Prince Puma versus Killshot?
Probably.
Is there one? I'm gonna Google that. That's homework.
Probably. I know there's Ricochet versus Ospreay that exists too. That's already happened, but we'll see.
But I'd be into Prince Puma versus Killshot and Lucha Underground. I'm gonna look that up.
It probably exists.
I bet you that match was phenomenal.
Oh, for sure. I mean, both of them were like, I don't know that they were as good as they are now. Then,
from what I hear, a lot of people think they're better than they are now.
Well, I don't know, man. I think Ricochet, when he first got to NXT, I was skeptical of his like selling ability because obviously he pulled it off better than anybody did. But like he would hit the ground and like get up, and it was just like, no, this isn't believable. Like you don't look like you just did. Like you look like you're a video game, and like you're clipping pixels. Like nobody other than you can actually do this. So you have to sell a little bit. You have to act like it hurts. Oh, okay. Now, and I think that was really the thing. It was that he was 100 miles an hour. He never stopped, even when he got hit. And now he's more of a like he can tell a story. He's a better overall pro wrestler now. And I would argue that Swerve has gotten better and better and better since we first saw him as Isaiah Swerve Scott in NXT up until present day. Like I think that like his body of work just in like on mainstream television is just a kind of a masterclass of like how you grow from like a guy with a lot of promise to a guy who can be a world champion. And I think that's why we're disappointed that he lost, because as the world champion, he wasn't really given an opportunity to shine the way he should have been.
No, and I think that that's the biggest drawback to whenever, and this isn't the first time that we've seen this with AEW. I mean,
you get squeamish when somebody becomes the champ and he's not sure. You get squeamish instead of trusting the professional.
Trust your gut, pal. Like you put him in this situation, give him the opportunity to shine. You did it with Hangman. Maybe that's why he's been so gunned, because he did it to fucking Samoa Joe too.
Yeah.
He put Joe in the middle of the card, and it's like, why are you going to spend all this time and energy building these guys up to be superstars for your brand, and then when you pay them off and you do what needs to be done, you're scared.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make much sense to me. And like I said, we made we allowed Damian Priest to grow right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
So why couldn't we do the same on the other side of the coin and let Swerve grow in front of us? And I think he would have been better for it.
Absolutely. And I think the AEW championship would have been better for it. Instead, Tony was like, I'm going to put it on my friend, the guy who we know just Tony is like over the moon for. And like, if anything happens to me, call Daniel Bryan. Jesus, like it's too much. It's too much. And to take it off Swerve this quickly. I think I'd have rather see the Young Bucks lose. I'd have rather see who else retained. That was it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather see the Young Bucks lose and Swerve retain, I think.
Yeah,
I think you let, Bryan Danielson's been like threatening retirement now for the better part of 20 years, right? Like, because first,
let's not forget he was retired for a little while.
Right. So he was retired, and then he came back, and he's basically been threatening retirement since he came back. And like, just do it, bro. Just go home. You got these kids now. Got a pretty wife at home. Go home. You've made plenty of money. Go home. You can call Tony and talk to him 2 hours every day if you want. And he'll probably still pay you a couple $1,000,000 a year. I don't see what the downside is. Go home. Don't break your neck. Walk your daughters to their homecomings. Walk them down the aisle. Like, I don't know. I'm ready to see Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho retire. Can we see that happen in 2024? That'd be great.
I imagine that we are going to see Bryan Danielson lay down the championship in the middle of the ring on Wednesday.
I might watch just for that, just to see if it happens.
I think that might be a thing, bro. Like, that's the vibe I get coming out of the post match presser, is that he's just done. Like, I saw his little snip when he's got Birdie on his lap there and talking about, Daddy, you're the best in the world. You're the greatest wrestler in the world. And, and he's like, oh, well, if I'm the greatest wrestler in the world, then why can't I still do this? Why is Daddy quitting? Quitting for you, baby girl. Mwah. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But I think that it was if Bryan Danielson does come out on Wednesday or Saturday for that matter and lay the title in the middle of the ring and say, deuces, I'm out. I'm going to go beat Daddy. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that makes Swerve just look like a fucking punk.
Sure does. And then all hail the 3-time AEW champ, Vacant.
Oh my God, I can't with you.
Hail Vacant. Vacant might be my favorite AEW champ.
You were pretty fond of Kenny Omega.
He's still the second worst champ.
Hey, did you happen to watch the post-match presser?
No, I was.
Bro, I'm fairly certain. And, maybe it's just the pro wrestling mark that I am. But, man, I really feel like Tony had some things to say about Phil this weekend, and was asked about Collision and, the formatting and how much the show's improved and, what he thinks that is, or, maybe might not have said about the show improving, but was talking about the process behind the show. And Tony said, man, I'll tell you what, it feels like that Saturday show is just so much easier to get on TV than it was a year ago. And, the vibes in the back in the backstage area are just so much better than they were a year ago. And, outside of some problems that we even brought here a year ago, I think that we're in a much better place than we were a year ago when it comes to Saturday nights and Collision a year ago.
Yep. That's what he did. Now, from his perspective, he's probably correct because CM Punk seems certainly to be a Karen. I think is probably the best way to describe him still. And
I'd say that's fair, but
I think he was certainly a pain in Tony's ass. Absolutely. And Tony now recognizing that he's gone and he just no longer has that pain in his ass is much easier for Tony. Now, that being said, it was a better product when Tony had a pain in his ass, like most things are. When somebody's being a thorn in your side, for some reason, things come out better. But now nobody's pushing Tony. And Tony ain't pushing anything out. So, I don't know. It's certainly a valid criticism, I think, on Tony's part. And, Tony is certainly petty enough to just allude to things like that. I bet he snickered so hard. He was so happy to, he wrote it down because he was like, they're going to ask me this, and I'm going to say this about CM Punk a year ago. And, that's what happened. But I can't say that he's wrong, but the product has suffered for it.
I tend to agree with your assessment, and I mean, I feel like we've heard nothing but the opposite coming out of the WWE locker room, and I'm sure that a lot of that's by design, from Phil's point of view. But
Also, there's leadership back there. He's not. Nobody's looking to him to be like, "Hey, you be in charge of this group."
The thing is, nobody, according to all of the talent backstage, nobody was looking for him to be a leader in AEW either.
Yeah. But you're right. Yeah. And that's probably true. But at the same time, he probably, I'm sure that backstage WWE is much different than backstage AEW.
The Uber mark in me wants to believe that CM Punk probably does business backstage a lot like Paul Heyman, right?
Well, he's a Paul Heyman guy.
Right. He's going to offer you his opinion, whether you want it or not. And then if he sees that you took interest in it, he'll continue to show interest in you. But if you don't, he won't, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just imagine that's probably the type of dude Punk is backstage.
Probably.
So I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, and I think that it just is a matter of him not so much feeling the need. Let's go with that. Feeling the need to be that guy backstage. You know what I mean? I don't know that he necessarily looks back and goes, "This is chaos. I gotta put in some structure." He sees things like people going over stuff, people talking to each other, people going through their matches, people eating at catering, and things being smooth. But now so he's like, okay, well, I'll just talk to who I want to talk to, and that's that. And so he doesn't feel the need to babysit or I'm sure you felt this way before, where you've been the most senior person and you feel like you need to take the pups under your wing. And he doesn't feel that need. He's Randy Orton's back there, fucking Cody's back there. All these other guys who would be, Cody would be, but Randy Orton is his senior, right? There's all these guys back there who are already have that. So he doesn't need to be the one pup wrangler. He can be the guy who people come to if they want, or if they don't have to. A lot of people back there. I'm sure he's plenty busy. So I think that it probably just fits a little better now, especially with Triple H in charge, than it did for him, 10 years ago or in AEW. And that's all I think.
I think that's probably fair. Well, Bub, it sounds like, All In was the AEW Mark's wet dream, and, everybody got a little taste of everything that they enjoy, what All Elite Wrestling has to offer. The couple of things I watched were okay. We're not okay. It was just, it was what it was.
It was a long show is what it was. It started somewhere close to noon and ended somewhere close to 8 p.m. And so we're talking about a show that pushed about 8 hours. Was there 4.5 hours of good stuff in there? Absolutely. Was there 8? No. And I think that's really where AEW is struggling right now, is that they've got a good chunk of time. The problem is they've got twice as much time as they have good stuff. And that's really I want to say All In really personified that.
Well said. Well said. Well, Bob, it really, really sucks. But found out earlier today that pro wrestling world has lost one Psycho Sid Vicious, Sid Udi, um, and man, kind of crazy, right? Like this dude was like a staple in our childhood.
A guy who was pretty consistently at the top of the mountain from when we were like 6, so like able to remember things until we were in high school. Like a guy who was pretty much always the top guy. He was Sid Justice at first in WWE, and then quickly we all found out that he's actually a bad guy, and he's Sid Vicious. And Psycho Sid in wait.
He was Sid Vicious in WCW.
WCW, that's right. So he's Psycho
And then
Sid.
he came to WWE as Psycho Sid.
Right. So anyway, just a huge guy, 6'9".
He's a fucking monster, bro.
Ripped. Those golden blonde curls. Like, holy shit. You want to see a guy that just looks like, you look at him and you're like, oh, is that a superhero or a pro wrestler or both? And
bro, he was fucking terrifying when we were younger with the eyes.
And like, I can't say that he was ever any, like, having rewatched, like, he wasn't really any good at wrestling, but
he was passable for a monster.
He was fine. He had no 5-star matches. He had very few. 3-star matches. His powerbomb.
Do we care about Dave's star ratings?
We don't. His powerbomb looked like shit. Probably because he was up so high, he just didn't want somebody's head to fall off.
Maybe it was them fucking traps just got in the way.
Probably, yeah.
Oh,
but God, what a terrifying monster! Like, dude was huge. He was 2 people wide and 2 people tall, and just always a main eventer. Would give the worst promos, but like, you were like, this guy's fucking nuts. And maybe he was, but apparently he wasn't. But for the longest time, you were sure he was nuts. So, I mean,
all I know is he liked to play some softball in the off season.
Sure did. What a softball player.
Didn't matter what season in WWE it was. He was making it the off season.
He was,
because he was gonna go play some softball.
He was like, I'm gonna go play softball. I'll see you guys in 3 months. And they'd be like, but you're the champ. And he'd be like, it's fine. Here.
Yeah.
He's the reason Vacant is such Vacant's like a 10-time champ in WWE. And like 5 of them shits is his fault. Well, he was only champ twice, but still.
So I think that all of this lends me to the question: what is Psycho Sid Vicious? What is his legacy in pro wrestling? Is it that he attacked Arn Anderson with scissors at a hotel? Is it the double axe handle off the middle rope with a broken femur? Is it the crazy eyes? Is it the Kevin Nash 2.0, the Diesel Light when he took over as Shawn Michaels' bodyguard? Is it his terrible match against The Undertaker for the World Championship?
I was going to say, I'll never forget the terrible match against The Undertaker. That was
Or is Psycho Sid Vicious, his legacy in pro wrestling, that of just being an enigma?
A guy who you were pretty sure was crazy until he retired and was like just this like casual, like nice old man. And was just like, he was like, oh, he wasn't, that was all an act? Like, wow. A guy who kept kayfabe to a degree who we thought he was fucking nuts. And a lot of his peers did too. And God, guy that always looked like the guy looked like $1 bazillion for like 20 years, basically until he got sick.
Yeah.
Incredible. Just like sort of like one of those guys, when you think of a pro wrestler, you think of Psycho Sid, and you're like, yeah, that's the prototype. I would say, you put him on a status of like a Razor Ramon, Scott Hall type of guy, although he did reach the top of the mountain twice in WWE and twice in WWF and then twice in WCW. So, just a great career. Cut short from the cancer diagnosis. He was in remission for a long while, but unfortunately, it was sad to hear that he had finally succumbed. R.I.P. What a hero.
Does Sid deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the reason why he isn't is probably his WCW run being as long as it was. Like, he had a big impact in WWE.
Yeah, Harlem Heat's in WWE's Hall of Fame, and they never wrestled on WWE television.
True. And I think, I think there's a point where Sid also rubbed a few people the wrong way, particularly Ric Flair. But a lot of people. But I think at this point, enough hatchets have been buried in the last couple of years. Rick even posted, and everybody kind of give their condolences today, and Rick included, although he capitalized every letter again, which is like, that's how Ric Flair tweeted it, because it's like half kind of nonsensical, but like you kind of know what he's getting at, but also he capitalized every letter. So yeah, I mean, even Rick has buried the hatchet with him. So hopefully we see a Hall of Fame induction. I wouldn't be shocked to see it this coming year, truthfully.
Yeah, well, they got to get Bray Wyatt in there first. So,
Yeah,
R.I.P. Sid. Tom, what's your match of the week?
So for me, it's going to be Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Been a big fan of the storyline since it started off. They had a great match. It got time. It got all the drama it deserved. I thought it was a great match, and that's my match of the week. I think I finally got the payoff. I got the one AEW payoff that I've been looking for months, and I got it, and I'm very happy with it, satisfied with the whole thing. I have no gripes, and I even liked, so we got today on Instagram the sort of like, what happened to Toni Storm after the match? And it was like she like kind of hopped a barricade and like skipped off into London, and like Luther caught up with her, and I really like the whole package, and I thought it was really just it was great. It was that like goofy, but only that like pro wrestling goofy, like the Bushwhackers, but like on a more polished, higher level. So that's my match of the week.
My match of the week was the triple threat number 1 contenders match between Wes Lee, Pete Dunne, and Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Great match, man. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to make me watch on Saturday. Nothing I saw, to be fair to you, nothing I saw on All In really makes me want to watch on Wednesday, but that makes me want to watch on Saturday. So, yeah. I mean, different circumstances, obviously, TV versus pay-per-view, but still.
Right. And I mean, it did its thing. And I feel like Pete Dunne, he going to make it somewhere. It's going to make it somewhere, whether it be on that Raw main roster or it's going to finally get the big one in NXT.
He seems to work both Mondays and Tuesdays, so I don't know. Pretty much every week, the last few weeks, he's worked Monday, Tuesday. He's had he's had 15 minutes on Monday and 15 minutes on Tuesday, and it's like it's a half hour of Pete Dunne Monday, Tuesday.
And this week, 15 minutes with Sheamus to go and show up on Tuesday.
Yeah. 15 minutes with Shane, which was a banger. That's like my number 2 for the week, really.
So, Yeah, man. I don't know. Really excited to see what happens with Joe Hendry this weekend. Um, gonna be a fun time. Gonna be a fun time. Hey, if you're still hanging out with us, man, we appreciate you. If you could hit that thumbs up button, it'd be just we'd be so thankful, so grateful, so blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
You know, check us out over on Twitter and Instagram at @1_fall WC. That's ONE. Make sure you hit that notification bell too while you're down there. Don't know. We might be cooking something up. You just gotta have to pay attention a little bit.
You never know.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe doing this.
And as always, if you listen to us in the car, man, thank you. You know, there's so many audio podcasts that you can choose to enjoy on your morning commute. We're thankful that we're one of them. So, with all that being said, thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. Sunday, 8:30 p.m.
Sunday.
One Fall WrestleCast.